رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, tonight we're going to study a new chapter of inheritance. And this is extremely important topic that every Muslim, male and female, must have knowledge about inheritance. The Shaykh, Hafidahullah, Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, is going to go into detail about the causes of inheritance and the legal inheritors. So the causes of inheritance, things that make a person entitled to inherit. Make a person entitled to inherit. So these are called asbab. In Arabic, we call them asbab. Asbab are the causes. Why this ruling applies because of this cause. Same thing here. When it comes to inheritance, there are three causes that the Shaykh is going to mention in detail. The Shaykh said inheritance is the transfer of the legal possession of a deceased person to his heirs. Heirs are the inheritors, according to the laws of inheritance ordained by Allah. So there are three causes of inheritance. First, blood relationship. Blood relationship. The Shaykh said blood relations refer to the relations between two persons by birth, rather than marriage. Your brother, your sister, and so on and so forth. No matter how far or near the relationship is. As long as nothing or none blocks them from receiving the prescribed shares. Allah exalted be He says, but those of blood relationship are more entitled to inheritance in the decree of Allah. Surah Al-Anfal. Blood relationship include the forefathers, the offspring, and the collateral relatives. The paternal forefathers include the father of the paternal grandfather, and so forth, in ascending lineage, who are linked through males to a common ancestor. The offspring include the sons, the grandchildren by the son, and so forth in descending lineage. The collateral relatives, including the brothers and their children, no matter how far down they descend, as well as paternal uncles, sons, of paternal uncles, cousins, and so forth in a descending lineage. So now we understand this, right? طيب. Now the Shaykh, he said the second cause for inheritance, marriage. Marriage. The marriage must be according to a correct, valid contract of marriage. So when the Shaykh, he said a correct, valid contract of marriage, it means that if it's not correct, the person will not inherit. For example, if a woman, for example, married a man while she's still married. While she's still married. And this man, he died. Can she inherit from him? No. She cannot inherit. Because the contract in the first place is invalid. Is invalid. Because how can she marry someone and she's still married? She cannot do that. Or a man married a woman while she is still in her iddah. She's waiting for her period to finish. Then this contract is invalid. Or he married a woman while he was in a state of ihram. In Umrah or Hajj. He did a contract with a woman. and then he died, can she inherit from him? She cannot. Or it's the other way around. She died. He cannot inherit from her because they were not married to begin with. طيب. The Shaykh, he said, even if there is no consummation, even if there is no consummation. So what does the Shaykh means by this? He means if a man, for example, did a contract with a woman. Okay, there was the wali and the two witnesses. He gave her the dowry, and there was mutual consent from both parties. Right? He accepted this marriage, he accepted this marriage. And then the man, he died after that. They did not have relations at all. That's what consummating the marriage means. They didn't have any sexual intercourse. So, even if they did not have any contact with each other, she can inherit from him. And he can inherit from her. Because she is considered what? His wife. And he is considered her deceased husband. So she can inherit from him. This is very important. But if he got married with her, and then she asked for khula, and she gave him back the dowry, and he granted the khula, and then he died after that. Can she marry from him? Can she inherit from him? No, she cannot, because she is no longer his wife. طيب. The Shaykh said, and the two spouses have not yet met in privacy, even if they have not met in privacy. This is due to the statement of Allah, exalted be He. And for you is half of what your wives leave if they have no child. But if they have a child, for you is 1/4 of what they leave. After any bequest they may have made or debts, and for them, i.e. the wives, is 1/4. طيب. Now here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned the spouses. And He called them spouses. He called them spouses. طيب. So they inherit from one another. Now, the husband, if his wife dies, how much does he inherit? No, half. Half. Nisf. He inherits half. As long as
if they're married.
No, well, they are married. But he can inherit half as long as
She's dead.
No.
They have a child.
Of course she's dead, of course, that. Huh?
They have a child.
As long as they don't have a child. As long as they, remember this, he can inherit half as long as they don't have a child. But if they have a child, how much does he get? 1/4. Remember this. Okay, so the husband gets how much?
1/4.
No. He gets half if they don't have a child. And he gets 1/4 if they
Have a child.
When we say child, is it only the male or the male and female? Both of them. طيب? So now remember this, memorize it. The husband gets half of what his spouse, his wife, leaves behind. He inherits from her. She has like property and things like that. He gets half as long as they don't have any children. No sons, no daughters. طيب? And if they do, he gets 1/4. Remember that. And this is in the ayah here. But this after what? After the debts are paid off. For example, if the woman who died, the wife, she had debts. Okay? And then we have document that she has. And this debt has to do with her wealth. So we're going to take from her wealth and pay off the debts. Yep. Also, there are debts that are outside that. Like, for example, she borrowed money from them. So they come with the documents and the witnesses and everything. Then we have to give them their debt. We have to pay it off. What about when it comes to the debt of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon her? Like, for example, she has not performed Hajj yet. Do we take from her wealth?
Yes.
Yes, we do. What about if she did not pay the zakat yet? For example, she died when the year elapsed, the Islamic year elapsed. Do we give zakat or not?
Yes.
We give zakat. Ayib? Nah. The Shaykh said, the two spouses inherit from each other according to the aforesaid verse. And also in the case of a revocable divorce, is pronounced as long as the woman is still in the waiting period. What does he mean by a revocable divorce? What does a revocable divorce? What does it mean?
So let's just say it's the first divorce, the first talaq.
No.
Okay, if she didn't finish her iddah, he can still take her back.
He could still take her back.
Yeah, without
Yes.
having a new
But okay, now he died after he divorced her. Does she does she inherit or not?
She does.
She does. If it is what?
Before she had her iddah, before her iddah was
Yeah, if her iddah ends, then there is no inheritance for her.
Brother, I have a question. The iddah, what is that?
Waiting period.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, if waiting period, you know what? You understand what waiting period means? You don't know. Okay. Waiting period is like when a husband divorces his wife. This wife has to wait 3 menstrual cycle. You understand? Okay, what is the wisdom?
Wisdom, like, as in, like, somebody's wise?
No.
the wisdom behind the ruling.
The wisdom pertaining to the ruling. Why does she have to wait 3 menstrual cycle? What's the wisdom behind it?
I don't know.
Very good. That's why we're here, to learn. Okay, the wisdom behind it is there is a possibility they may rectify. You see, they reconcile and they will get back together as husband and wife. You understand? And that's why a woman, when she is in her iddah, in her waiting period, the 3 menstrual cycle, she can beautify herself to her husband. She can cook for him and all that. Because there is a possibility he may change his mind. Right?
Yes.
He may change his mind. You know, sometimes a person may get very angry and then later on he cools off. And he regrets what he did. Right? So in this case, if he died during her iddah, she inherits from him. If it is revocable, what is revocable? Revocable divorce is a divorce which is the first time and second time. This is revocable. Third time, is it revocable? No, it is not. So if he divorced her the third time, then he died. Does she inherit?
No.
There is no inheritance for her. Because she is no longer considered his wife. She is an ex-wife now. Now, تفضل.
So there's no iddah, even in the third time he divorced her.
No, the iddah is only to make sure she's not pregnant from him.
Okay.
But she will not be considered a wife anymore.
Okay. After the third one.
Because Allah said in the Quran, فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِن بَعْدِ حَتَّى تَنْكِحَ زَوْجًا غَيْرَهُ. And if he divorced her the third time, then she is no longer halal for him. until and unless she gets remarried to another man. And the man divorces her willingly, without being forced or threatened, like some people, they threaten him to divorce her, or they pay him money to marry her and divorce her. This is haram. So if he divorces her willingly, and they wish to reconcile, they can start all over again. And those three, they will be null void. So they can start all over again. You understand? But if he divorces her the third time, she's no longer what? His wife. And she's no longer halal for him. She's no longer halal for him. Unlike al-khula'. Al-khula' is different. Al-khula' is a dissolvement of the contract. Is a dissolvement of the contract, meaning that the contract is null void. For example, if a woman asks al-khula' from her husband because of a valid reason could be financial, could be emotional, it could be physical, and other than that. So, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, or he does not fulfill her financial need, or he does not fulfill, her desire in terms of intimacy and the like, she has a valid excuse to seek khula' from him. So if he grants her khula' and she gives him back the dowry, they're no longer husband and wife. Okay, let's say they did it 3 times. He took her back, then another situation happened, then he granted her khula' again. Then another time, 3rd time. Does it count as 3 times or it doesn't count as 3 times? It does not count as 3 times. Unlike the talaq does count. You see the difference? The talaq counts. 1st time, 2nd time, 3rd time, she's no longer halal for him. And that's why the Shaykh, he said, irrevocable. So in other words, if it was not revocable, then she would not be able to inherit anything from him. The Shaykh, he said, during the waiting period, the woman is still a legal wife. Still a legal wife. Okay, I have a question for you. He died 5 minutes before her iddah ends. 5 minutes. Does she inherit or not? Yes, she does. Because the iddah has not finished yet. Still 5 minutes away. This is very important for us to know. طيب. The Shaykh, he said, the phrase, the correct contract of marriage exclude the incorrect contracts of marriage. For the right of inheritance arises from only a valid contract of marriage. So we exclude all the invalid contracts, as the ones I gave an example about. And the incorrect marriage does not affect the rulings on inheritance. طيب. He said the third cause, al-wala. Al-wala. Al-wala, the freed slave loyalty by virtue of emancipation. So someone, for example, he freed a slave. Okay? He freed a slave. So that slave now become loyal to that man that he freed him. طيب. So it is a relation between the master and the slave. in which the former inherits any property the latter may acquire during the former's favor done to the latter. Understood? طيب. Someone doesn't understand something, let me know.
The slave passes away.
The master, he inherits.
The master will inherit.
Yes.
He freed him though.
Yes.
But he's no longer his slave.
But because of the favor of freedom,
Okay.
that Allah gives him that reward. Understand? Al-jazaa wal-ihsan illa al-ihsan. That the reward of good, except good. That's it. طيب. The Shaykh, he said, the inheritance is from only one side, i.e., if the slave dies, the emancipator, means the one who freed him, inherits from him, and not vice versa. And not vice versa. If the emancipator dies, then his universal heirs by oneself, and not co-universal heirs, inherit from this slave. To illustrate, the Prophet ﷺ says, the wala is a bond, like that of kingship, related by Ibn Hibban in his authentic book of hadith, and also related by and deemed sahih by Al-Hakim. Thus, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam made al-wala similar to the blood relationship. Therefore, the wala is a cause for inheritance, like blood relations, according to the consensus of Muslim scholars. Moreover, it is related in the two sahih that the Prophet ﷺ said, verily al-wala is for the one who frees. طيب. After this, the Shaykh is going to go to the inheritors, those who inherit. The Shaykh, he said, inheritors are divided into male and female heirs. Male heirs are 10. If you can write it down, it would be good. Or you can record it. So, the Shaykh, he said, male heirs are 10. The son of the son. The son of the son. Yes. And so forth in a descending male lineage. For Allah exalted be He says, Allah instructs you concerning your children, i.e., their portion of inheritance for the male, what is equal to the share of the two females. And look how wise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, that He gives a double share to the male. For example, if the male gets $100,000, his sister gets how much? 50,000. And the reason being, when you look at the wisdom behind this, who is the leader of the household? The man. So the man, he has to provide shelter. He has to maintain his family. So he has a big responsibility. That's why Allah gives him double. Look, Allah is Hakim, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the all-wise. طيب. The grandson is the same as the son. This is due to Allah's statement, O children of Adam. And also Allah exalted be, He says, O children of Israel. Surah Al-Baqarah. So now, the son and the son of the son, and all the way descending down. Then the father, the paternal grandfather, and any forefather of the paternal grandfather. Those who are above him, right? This is because Allah exalted be, He says, and for one's parents to to each one of them is a sixth of his estate. So they get the sixth, sudus. In Arabic we say sudus. Moreover, the paternal grandfather is the same as the father. For the Prophet ﷺ judges that he inherits 1/6 of the estate. That 1/6 of the estate, the same as the father. So we give the grandfather the same as the father.
Up until 4, right?
Now, the brother, whether he is full or half brother, because a brother can be full brother, can be half brother, paternal brother, maternal brother. طيب. This is because Allah exalted be, He says, they request from you a legal ruling. Say, Allah gives you a ruling concerning one having neither descendant nor ascendant. He doesn't have any as heirs. If a man dies leaving no child, but only a sister, she will have half of what he left. Remember this. Now, the sister gets half if this man doesn't have any what? Descendants. طيب. Now. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if a man dies leaving no child, but only a sister, she will have half of what he left. And he inherits from her if she dies and has no child. If she doesn't have any, yes, children. This verse refers to brothers who have different mothers. As for those who have the same mother, but have different fathers, Allah exalted be, He says, if a man or a woman leaves neither ascendants nor descendants, but has a brother or sister, then for each one of them is a sixth. A sixth. The son of a full brother, or the son of a half brother from the same father. As for the son of the brother who has the same mother of the deceased, but a different father, he does not inherit because he is one of the blood relatives. The father's full brother, paternal uncle, and the father's half brother from the same father, and the son of the aforesaid paternal uncle, cousin, and so forth in descending lineage. However, the father's half brother from different father does not inherit from the deceased. To illustrate, the Prophet ﷺ said, give the shares of inheritance prescribed in the Quran to those who are entitled to receive them. Then whatever remains should be given to the closest male relative of the deceased. Closest male. So we go by the one who is the closest and we block the other one. The other one is blocked. You understand? طيب. The husband, for Allah exalted be He, says, and for you is half of what your wives leave. What your wives leave. Surah An-Nisa. The emancipator who has the right of al-wala, the one who freed the slave, or his heirs. For the Prophet ﷺ said, for al-wala means a loyalty by virtue of emancipation, means freeing, is a bond like of kingship, like that of kingship. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, verily, the wala is for the emancipator, means the one who freed. طيب. After that, we're going to go to the females. The female inheritors are 7. Now.
So I want to go over with the father. So
Now.
if the father passes and he has, like, let's say a son, and then he has a half son, he has a different like a wife, he has a different wife, and they have kids. They have one kid.
No.
So how does it work with the inheritance?
You can text me that after. I will answer it, inshallah. Let's finish this, inshallah. Female inheritors are 7. The daughter of the son, the granddaughter, and any female grandchildren, the descendant from male lineage. To illustrate, Allah exalted be, He says, Allah instructs you concerning your children, i.e. their portion of inheritance. For the male, what is equal to the share of the 2 females. But if they are only daughters, 2 or more, for them is 2/3 of one's estate, 2/3. And if there is only one, for her is half. So if there is one daughter, she gets half. If there are 2, they get how many? 2/3. They get 2/3. So these are the daughters. The mother and the grandmother. The mother and the grandmother. طيب. If the mother is there, is the grandmother blocked or not?
No.
The mother is dead, the grandmother got blocked.
If she gets blocked. Now we're talking. Why? Because she is the closest.
Yes.
Yeah. And the grandma is the furthest. The mother and the grandmother. For Allah exalted be, but if the mother was not there, only the grandma. The grandma, she inherits. طيب. For Allah, He says, the meaning of which, but if you had no children, and the parents alone inherit from him, then for his mother is 1/3. His mother gets what? 1/3. And if he had brothers and sisters, for his mother is 1/6. Because she shares with them, because they are there. Okay? That's why she gets 1/6. طيب. Buraidah, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated in hadith marfu', hadith stating that the Prophet said the grandmother of the deceased is to be given 1/6 of the inheritance if the mother is not alive. If the mother is not alive. So in other words, if the mother is alive, she doesn't get that. Related by Abu Dawood. The sister, whether a full sister or half sister, for Allah exalted be, He says, and if a man or a woman leaves neither ascendant nor descendant, but has a brother or a sister, then for each one of them is 1/6. طيب. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if a man dies, leaving no child, but only a sister, she will have half of what he left, and he inherits from her if she dies and has no child. But if there are 2 sisters or more, they will have 2/3 of what he left. So if there's 1 sister, طيب, she inherits half. If there are 2, 2/3. Very good. Then the wife. The wife, i.e. the widow, the one who lost her husband. For Allah exalted be, He says, and for them, He means wives, is 1/4. So they get 1/4. Okay, if there were 2 wives, what do they get? They get 1/4. They share it. They share it. Now, طيب. The female emancipator, the female emancipator, the woman who freed a slave, a woman who freed a slave, inherits from the slave she has freed due to the right of al-wala. As the Prophet ﷺ said, verily al-wala is for the emancipator. The aforementioned list generally covers the number of possible male and female inheritors. But in detail, there are 15 male inheritors and 10 male inheritors. One may check the reference of the Sharia Islamic law for more details in this regard, and Allah exalted be He, knows best. The Shaykh said, so inshallah we will stop here because the time is running. So we will stop here, and next time inshallah the Shaykh is going to go into the types of inheritance according to their share of inheritance, how much they get. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all al-ilm al-nafi', amal salih. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, sallallahu ala Muhammad, alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim.